Are you looking for pelvic floor strengthening exercises? Maybe you're a woman postpartum and your pelvic floor just isn't what it used to be. Maybe you're a man and you're struggling with ejaculatory control. Or maybe you're a man or a woman and you're struggling with incontinence. You're having trouble controlling your urine or your bowels. Maybe you're even having prolapse. If so, this video is for you. Hey, my name is Lucas. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a teacher trainer. In the yoga tradition, we have a practice called Mula Bandha, or root lock, which refers directly to this pelvic floor strength coordination practice. And it dates back hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. In this video, I'll share with you, number one, the anatomy of the pelvic floor, which muscles are involved. Number two, we'll talk about dysfunction, why things go wrong. And lastly, probably most importantly, we'll look at some exercises you can do at home to strengthen, coordinate, and bring awareness back to your pelvic floor. Quick disclaimer here, I'm a yoga teacher, not a medical doctor. If you have a major pelvic floor dysfunction, please check with a healthcare provider before you do anything. Let's start off by talking about the anatomy. Your pelvic floor, if you look at the base of your pelvis, you can see there's a big hole there. There's nothing there. So what supports my pelvic floor? There's a group of muscles called your levator ani muscles. And there's three primary muscles on the pelvic floor. You probably noticed, if you've looked at a spine before, that there is our coccyx, our tailbone. And you probably thought, that's pretty silly. Haven't we evolved away from having tails? And the answer is yes. We don't really need a tail, but our tailbone, our coccyx, plays a very important role as an attachment site for the muscles of your pelvic floor. These three muscles we can look at separately. And the first one is called your puborectalis. Pubo refers to your pubis bone here, and rectalis refers to your rectum. So the muscle starts at your pubis and it wraps around your rectum. This one of the three muscles controls your anal sphincter. The next muscle that we'll look at is your pubococcygeal muscle, going from your pubis to your coccyx, your tailbone. This is the larger and the more powerful of these three muscles. And then the last one we'll look at is your iliococcygeal muscle, and that goes from your ischial crest to your coccyx. Why is it called your iliococcygeal instead of your ischiococcygeal? It's just poorly named. Sometimes anatomists confuse us. The reality is all these terms are less important than the concept of levator ani, muscular diaphragm, muscular net, the webbing, three muscles right at the base of your pelvis. And what do? They control your urine, your ejaculation, they control your bowels. If you're a woman, it supports your uterus. It also affects your posture. Really, really important. The reason these muscles are so important is because if when you laugh, you pee yourself, that can really disrupt your quality of life. Okay, so now we know what these muscles are. Why do they get weak? Why do they get flaccid? Why do they have problems? The number one cause, of course, is childbirth. During childbirth, these muscles can get strained, they can even get torn and very, very damaged. The second most common reason is simply with age and atrophy. I think it's helpful to think about someone who's older who might have like a flabby underarm. Their muscles have atrophied and they're no longer in use. When it's your underarm, that's really just aesthetic. But when it's your pelvic floor and you're unable to control your bowels or you're peeing yourself, that's really a big, big impact. And so childbirth, age and atrophy, and lack of use from sitting in a car, sitting in a chair all day can all lead to a really weak pelvic floor. Okay, so what do we do about it? I'll show you some exercises, but before we do the exercises, we need to first learn how to feel to engage those muscles. What I mean by that is if I told you, hey, contract your bicep muscle, almost all of you would be able to do that. But if I said, hey, can you contract your puborectalis muscle? You'd go, well, what? You don't know how to do that, right? And so I'll walk you through some eyes closed exercises to feel this. One thing to remember is that our pelvic floor diaphragm and our breathing diaphragm, they work together and they really have a paradoxical relationship. What that means is when my breathing diaphragm is relaxed on an exhale, that's when it's in a dome shape, that's when I can squeeze here much better, my pelvic floor. Because when I breathe in, my diaphragm contracts and all my guts, everything gets pushed down and it's much more difficult to squeeze my pelvic floor. For this reason, both now and in our exercises, we'll work at the bottom of the exhale. At the bottom of the exhale, your breathing diaphragm is relaxed up there's more space, and it's easier to squeeze the base of that flower pot. Sitting in a chair or sitting on the floor, wherever you are, place your hands on top of your legs, relax your shoulders, close your eyes. I'd like you to imagine for a moment that you're sitting on the toilet. Sorry for the visualization, it's the only way to do it. And you're urinating, and I need you to stop the flow of urine. We'll do it at the bottom of the exhale. I'll close my fist so that you know you're meant to squeeze, and I'll count up to the count of 5. Let's inhale gently through our nose, exhale gently through our nose, all the way out. Now squeeze, stop the flow of urine for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release, relax, and breathe normally. Some of you were able to hold those muscles throughout the practice. Many of you, your muscle contract, release, it kind of pulsed. Totally normal, don't worry. It takes some time to coordinate these muscles. That was exercise 1. Exercise 2, I'd like you to imagine that you're defecating. Again, sorry for the visualization, it's the only way to do it. And you need to stop the flow, you need to squeeze your anus. Let's inhale. Exhale everything out. Squeeze, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax, release, and breathe normally. Again, it might have pulsed. That's okay. Maybe it pulsed and held. Also okay. So now we contracted our urethra, where the pee comes out. We contracted our anus, defecation. Right in between, there's a third area that we can contract. For men, if you visualize like lifting your testicles. For women, if you visualize like contracting your vaginal opening, that can usually help you to access that area. So again, front, back. Now we'll contract in the middle. Let's practice together. Inhale. Exhale everything out. Good. Lift that middle area. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax, release, and breathe normally. Now that we've isolated these 3 areas, some people, some pelvic floor therapists will work on these areas individually. There's really great benefit to that, and sometimes that subtle practice can be really helpful.